All right, folks, what's going on? Another edition of Boxing Chit. We're going to talk about the things that went down in the sport of boxing this past weekend. And it was a lot of good contests, a lot of good competitive matchups in some sense. Well, some competitive, not all of the main events were competitive. That being said, it was a good weekend of boxing for sure. And of course, Josh here along with the Boz. So what's going on, Boz? How's it? How are you out there? Good stuff. Good
Yeah,
stuff.
I'm pretty good. I was doing some pre-Christmas shopping earlier, so that was a little bit, you know how it goes. But yeah, I'm hanging in there. I'm a little tired, but still not too tired to be here.
Oh, yes, yes, indeed. We're gonna
Luckily,
make it short and
yeah,
sweet. We'll keep it short and
yeah.
sweet, at least to the degree we can. But it's
Had,
always great to have everyone in the mix.
yeah, we had to get the turkey before it was sold out.
Oh yes, hey, gotta get on that holiday season. Happy holidays, everyone. But yeah, boxing doing its thing right now. At least some of these matchups here on the tail end, the zone kind of taking charge and holding it down. So with that, thank you for everyone who is listening now. Those that will be listening on the playback, you are appreciated. And real quick, I want to shout out to Mr. Pads in the building right there. Salute to you, Mr. Pads. Appreciate you being here. Most certainly, Mr. Pad says, Josh and Boz, wow, wow, wow. Such an amazing boxing to discuss. What a performance from Josh Kelly. Third round finish, and I believe he's ranked number one in the
Yeah,
WBO. I want to see him versus Zoo one day. That being Tim Zoo. And yes, that was a pretty impressive
yeah,
performance by Josh Taylor,
presumably.
or Josh Kelly. Yeah, Josh
Yeah,
Kelly, who
yeah,
who is one of those fighters who, as a prospect, was highly touted. He had the look, the feel, the skill. Had a setback or two in his career. I guess a setback really being the one against David Avanesian, but he seemed to bounce back from
mm,
that. Now it took a little time, and he's fighting at 154 pounds. So we'll see how he continues to do, but that was a pretty impressive knockout in his victory. I'm trying to remember who it was, but I was able to catch it actually. Yeah, Ramirez, a Colombian fighter, and Josh
yeah.
Kelly.
I
I think he
was
put on
Taylor.
skill wise. He just looks pretty
The,
good. I don't know if you were able to catch that, Boz.
no, the only fight that I did see like live, not in its entirety, but last night was Kyron Davis versus that other guy. I don't remember what his name was.
Oh,
Kyron. It was 160 pounds. Yeah, so he
okay.
won on points against. Also, there was a fight two Latin guys, Madero, and the other one I forgot it with something starting with a P. So those were the
Mhm.
only fights I happened to catch on Showtime on YouTube. The
Okay.
Showtime channel. Yeah,
Yeah, I happen to miss the entirety of the Showtime card myself, other than
mm,
knowing what happened in the main event. I caught a clip of that. But
right.
yeah, Josh Taylor, he fought on the zone. It was during the
Kelly.
or yeah, Josh Kelly rather. Yeah, I keep saying Taylor, but Kelly. Yeah, it
Mm,
was during the afternoon here for me. Just so happened to catch that and a couple of the other fights from that particular card. But I like what Kelly
mm,
can do, and I think that he is certainly a
yeah,
player. And it's just be a matter of who he's matched up with moving forward. But I think he'll make for some pretty
yeah.
competitive and
He
exciting
is.
fights.
Yeah, yeah. He is fighting at. Oh yeah, 154. I guess since he
Yeah.
said he want to see versus two. Yeah. Yeah, well, I haven't didn't see that fight unfortunately, but looks like sounds like there wasn't that much to see. It was third round. Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, certainly. And Mr. Paz mentioned, did we
so
catch the Galalia 5 fight? I missed it, but heard he did well. I missed that one as well, Mr.
mm,
Pads. But I know coming into it, I expected him to show out and show well. because I think he's very promising, very high level skill set, and he seems to be one of those guys who has that potential to become world champion for sure. So I wasn't able to catch
Mm.
that one, but this one I want to go back on replay to definitely tune into.
Yeah, there was seems like so much going on, and at the same time that we didn't get to see. I know that also. I believe
Yeah,
that guy Morrell Ahmad Ali also was fighting. I
yeah, I
discovered.
think he got a victory. He got a
Yeah,
victory. Yeah, MJ. Yeah, he's good. He's very solid.
yeah.
And former world champion, of course. I like
Mm,
MJ. Uh, Mr. Paz mentions what a beautiful performance by Morrell as well. Fella is so good. Let's talk about that gorgeous knockout of the year contender
mm,
Valenzuela versus Colbert. Oh yes,
yeah.
yes. So yeah, that one I did catch real quick on Valenzuela versus Colbert. I didn't catch the entire fight, but I have seen the knockout. And man, Valenzuela
Mm,
stretched Colbert. I think it was the left or right hook that he leaped in there with, caught him square on the chin, and Colbert was out and hunched over the
mm,
bottom ropes, just knocked out cold. And Valenzuela, he righted the ship in a major way because this was a rematch for those two in a contest that was disputed in some sense, with some thinking that Valenzuela probably deserved to win in their last matchup, and Colbert walked away with the victory. Then, even coming into this one, I know that I thought that, hey, maybe Colbert could pull off a decision again. He wouldn't put himself in some of the harm's way that he did, but boy, was I wrong. And Valenzuela showed up and showed out, stopped him with a beautiful right hook that is definitely a knockout of the year contender.
mm. Right. Yeah. I know of Chris Colbert from before. I mean, he's no joke. Of course, he's a solid contender, obviously. But yeah, what
Yeah,
a victory for Valenzuela. Wow.
yeah, yeah. Heck of a victory. Back in that win column. Shout out to Flat Boxing who's dropped by. Appreciate your Flat Boxing as
He's
always.
black.
Be sure to check out his channel, folks.
Yeah, he's a solid boxing expert. Let's yeah.
Yes, yes, indeed. Flack doing his thing. Like and subscribe for sure. He's got some content out there. Also, salute to Rodolfo Rivera Jr., who's dropped in as well. Give him a
Oh,
like, subscribe. Out there making it happen, always showing love. Appreciate you being here, Rodolfo.
great guy.
Indeed, indeed. So yeah, and so back to Mr. Pads, what he mentioned, he did mention David Morrell, who we were discussing a
Yeah.
little bit before coming on air, and of course Morrell, I felt for at least the last year or so, he's just had the goods. He seems to be ready for any and everyone at 168 pounds. And in this contest
Mm,
with Sina Beko, who is a guy who is solid, has the look, and would compete with fighters at a high level. I just coming into it expected Morrell to pretty much knock him out fairly
mm.
quickly. As a matter of fact, I lucked out on my prediction because I predicted second round knockout in this little prediction league I'm in, and that's what
Wow.
happened. He was just
good
overwhelmed
for
by Morrell.
good for you. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
right.
mean
Now I'm
morale.
usually off. I'm usually off, but
Yeah.
I got it right this time.
Well, I was surprised when I saw actually that Morel has now held the WBA title for some time, for 2 years. I
Right.
actually was like, holy crap! I mean, but
Uh,
now I mean, who he hasn't gotten to fight. I mean, hasn't fought like anybody like really serious yet, of course. But that's not his fault. I know. I mean, it's about time. Yeah, definitely. He's been, let's say he's been training on all these guys who are nowhere near his level for long enough. He's been preying on them, on them now, and it's time to match him up against maybe Caleb. I don't know, Caleb Plant at least, or somebody like that. If not Benavides or Canelo, then at least Caleb Plant, or yeah, there are
oh yeah.
always some others, of course, who who he can fight. I
Yeah,
guess Jamal Charlo is always a possibility, yeah, but I think Caleb wants him first. Yeah,
yeah, that is true. Yeah, I saw that Caleb. I think he mentioned something in the media, or maybe even tweeted something, and certainly that's one that I think will eventually happen. But yeah, David Morrell, he's one of those guys is who is high risk for sure, high
yeah,
risk for anyone, whether that's Canelo, David Benavidez, and he just looks to have all the tools. I mean, he is super sharp, right
yeah,
in his
he's
prime,
sharp.
and it's going to be a tough. It'll take a tough opponent to beat him, and
Hmm.
man, he's just going to be a
Yeah,
handful. So it's hard to see anyone truly defeating him outside of Canelo or potentially
yeah,
David
even
Benavidez at this stage at
yeah,
168 pounds, and even that I think would be tough for the both of them.
yeah. Of course, he's got tremendous physical gifts, obviously, and he makes it look kind of easy. Even I mean, when a fighter looks like he doesn't even have to, work hard to get somebody out like that. I mean,
Oh
like
yeah.
it's scary. Scary to watch guys like him.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, most certainly, most certainly. And real quick, salute to who dropped by from X, aka Twitter. Appreciate you, my guy. There. Hey, thanks for joining. Always showing love. Appreciate you for sure being here. We're talking a little modern boxing shit. We're in it again, doing our thing, and of course, Flack mentioned Sonny Hampton lost perfectly. Certainly did. Yeah, we're definitely gonna get to
Yeah.
that one for sure because that
He's
was the sort of fight of the night in some sense. It was the fight of the weekend there,
yeah.
as
What
far
a
as
fight.
Sonny Edwards and Bam Rodriguez. But yeah,
Mm,
just back in relation to David Morrell, I just think that he just needs that name. That is all that he needs. And once he's on
yeah.
that major stage, even though he's been on Showtime, and on Fox, I just think he needs that big name to go along with it.
Mm,
And people will realize he has those star making qualities. And I want to see more of him. So hopefully he gets one of these big names to hop in there. And I think that will elevate him to another notch.
yeah, definitely. Yeah, I mean, other than the guys we already mentioned, I don't know who else is there. I mean, Edgar Berlanga. Well, I don't know. Well,
Oh,
he's a possibility, if not in
yeah.
for a fight like soon,
Yeah,
because he
Berlanga
is
doesn't want those
unbeaten.
fries. I'm telling you that right
Yeah,
now. He
probably not. Yeah, I don't know.
doesn't want
Otherwise,
those
who?
problems.
Yeah,
But I'd be interested in it. Hey, if he could get Berlanga, that's a good consolation prize. Him or Mungia, but that seems to be who Canelo is aiming towards. But
yeah, Mungia. Yeah, that's right. I forgot. I was gonna. Yeah, I was thinking there must be someone else who is really like kind of big name out there, but yeah, Mungia is that guy. Yeah, he was that
yeah,
guy. I was
but
thinking
yeah, I
of,
don't know
yeah.
if
Oh
Golden
yeah,
Boy would
that
want to
will
put him
be a
in
really
there.
great fight. I mean,
It would be. I think that would be an action fight between the two
yeah, that's
right
the
there,
problem.
Mungia
Yeah,
and Morrell.
yeah, an action fight for sure. And both guys, kind of, almost equally tall, and I mean, kind of strong guys, physically, kind of, bigger and for super middleweights anyway. And yeah, and really who love to slide it out and yeah, just
Yeah,
is a recipe for a really good fight. Yeah,
yeah, but yeah, right now, outside of Canelo and Benavidez, yeah, there are no other 168ers I'd favor over Morrell. And as a matter of fact, I don't know
yeah,
with 100% certainty that I would favor Canelo and Benavidez even right now.
yeah, yeah. Me neither. I mean, especially Canelo at this point now starting to slow down. Obviously, I mean, despite his last performance but he was fighting a guy coming up from 154, so you gotta take that into account.
Oh
And
yeah,
Yeah, I don't think I don't think I would favor him to win, but yeah, maybe would give him a chance. I don't know, I guess to win, but I definitely wouldn't favor him against Morrell. Yeah. So, but we'll see anyway. I mean, Morrell hasn't yet been really tested, as I said.
That
So,
is true. That
yeah,
is true. We need him with one of those big names to kind
yeah,
of get him elevated to that level right there because he hasn't had that marquee opponent as of yet, though he's fought some very good
yeah,
guys. Just not that marquee star name that's out there.
yeah. You know, you had guys like, for instance, Angulo, who looked like the terror of 154 until he lost to Kermit Cintron.
Oh yeah,
Because he got outboxed. It's simple as that. So,
yeah. El
yeah,
Perro. Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
I know what you're saying. So yeah, it happens sometimes. But yeah, we'll see. Rodolfo mentions Munguia versus Canelo in Mexico City. I think they'll do major numbers there. I want to go there for that fight as well. I think it would do major numbers because yeah, Munguia, he has a following there in Mexico. We know how Canelo has a following globally. Munguia has a following here in the U.S. as well. Even though he was elevated a bit more seemingly a number of years back, and then kind of went on a little dry spell as far as those big names. We wanted to see him in there with one of those top level guys. We've got a little bit sprinkled in here or there, but he is certainly a name, and that may be the one that is certainly that happens should
Mm.
Munguia defeat John Ryder coming up. As
Oh,
Mr.
yeah,
Paz
right.
mentions, Munguia versus Ryder is not a bad fight. It's booked, so
Yeah,
let's see what happens after that fight.
yeah. Of course, yeah. It's not really well. Of course, I expect Munguia to win, but yeah, it probably will be a tough fight for him as well. I mean, Ryder, I don't think anybody has won easy against a really kind of prime Ryder. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Rodolfo, Mr. Pratt says, Rodolfo, I think I have Munguia winning that, but it's going to be in the U.S. I think, unlike the Canelo one. Yeah, it could ultimately end up here. Maybe they're trying to boost
Mm.
it up. And yeah, it'll be interesting where, yeah, Canelo versus Munguia happens. Should Munguia get past Ryder, which, like I mentioned before, and I think the majority of others, we expect Munguia to pull that off in what should be a pretty game fight, pretty game
Yeah.
as Ryder is.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Definitely strong guy.
yeah.
Yeah.
And Rodolfo says, yeah, same here would be better for businesses. I don't think people want to see a rematch against Ryder. Yeah, that would kind of thwart some plans in a sense because, yeah, I don't think people would be all for a Canelo Ryder 2 matchup either. So Munguia seems like the guy. It looks like it's already set to be in
No.
Phoenix, Ryder versus
I,
Munguia. So Phoenix, Arizona. Show
oh,
love
yeah.
there. All right, Mr. Pads.
Yeah.
Now this is going back. He says Bam is so good as well. He said he's going to vacate the belts, but he did so well versus Sonny. Fair play to Sonny though, because he took his beating like a man, in my opinion, and that is most certainly right there. So this was the sort of top tier matchup of the
Mm.
weekend that we wanted to see, and that was Bam Rodriguez versus Sonny Edwards. Flyweight championships on the line, that being the IBF and WBO, went down in Arizona, Glendale, Arizona, at the Desert Diamond Arena. And man,
Mm.
talk about a hell of a fight. Talk about a hell of a fight. Those two guys really put on. You saw two guys executing at a high level, and the level was a bit higher for Bam Rodriguez, who most certainly has to be in consideration for those pound for pound rankings. And I think a matchup between he and Juan Francisco Estrada, were he to pull it off, would take him there. But he got a ninth round stoppage over Sonny Edwards as the corner threw in the towel before the ninth round started. But Sonny was getting
Ten.
blasted
Yeah.
at that point. He got dropped in the eighth round with a hard shot, and he was practically, stumbling to his corner a little bit, or he was on shaky legs for sure. But he managed to get there to the corner, and Yeah, they called it because Sonny, his eyes were busted up. He had a huge gash over one eye, his right eye, and then the left eye was kind of gashed and swollen and red, and
Mm.
you could, I'd imagine,
He
not
sure
see
didn't
very
look
well out
good.
of it. So it
He
was like,
sure didn't look good after the
yeah,
fight. Yeah, he had
yeah,
this
so yeah,
also kind of mouse, under his eye.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, got a bit
yeah,
lumped up there, but man, hell of a performance by Bam Rodriguez. What do you think there as far as Bam?
yeah, yeah. That was just. I mean, he did pretty much what he said he would do, and he stopped Sonny Edwards. Yeah, I mean, Sonny was just too aggressive, I guess. But that's his style, People forget, despite him not having many knockouts, of course, he's an aggressive fighter. He's not a defensive, like cagey guy. I mean, maybe he can be. I mean, he's good usually at avoiding punches, but he's always been an aggressive fighter. I mean, he's a brawler, but who has boxing skills, of course. At the same time. But yeah, he hung in there, and he answered I mean, the aggression as well as he could. But in the end, he just folded because he was fighting a guy that could really punch, and yeah, he was just in the end just overpowered, simple as that. And I hope he can come back after this loss. Because, yeah, it's no shame, of course, to lose to a guy like that. And he hung in there for 9 rounds, and it's
Yeah,
just the way it's life, it happens. And maybe they can have a rematch. I don't know if there's any point in that, but maybe he should just go on fighting other guys and trying to win another belt. And yeah, I mean, he will always be a big draw in the UK, especially, but he's a fighter people like to watch because he's so aggressive and goes all out, and you know he's got heart. In other words, both heart and skill. Yeah,
yeah.
and speed also, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I got you for sure. Yeah, the possibility of a rematch was entertained like later down the road, but certainly not anything that would be immediate. But Sonny, as Flat mentioned, handled the loss well, and I
Yeah,
think that's a plus right there because he did take it in stride. He lost to the better man on that night, and
yeah,
Sonny, he was very aggressive early in this fight, which could have played into how he was getting tagged, or at least eventually. And my understanding is he did fairly well in the first 3 rounds. He is a guy that could move. I know that. I think it was uh,
yeah.
Chris Mannix who was noting in the broadcast that hey, he didn't expect him to be as aggressive coming
Mhm.
out the gates as he was because he could.
Yeah,
He's touted
that's
for his defense. He does have the head and upper body movement that I've seen him use in the past and
yeah.
of that nature. And he's used a little bit of that here, but certainly, I mean, when
Those
it
are
came
his
down to
strengths.
it came
Yeah,
down to it, he had to kind of throw some fire out there as Bam started to come on offensively, and that's where Bam was able to hurt him and
mm,
take control and started to just land more and more frequently, which hey,
mm,
Bam, not a one punch knockout artist, but certainly he can put his punches together in such a manner that
yeah.
he can really devastate you and do damage for sure.
Yeah, he's got the power that Sonny lacks. And Sonny, another thing I noticed about him before in his last fights, he he almost moves a little too much. And he gets himself sometimes in, in kind of risky situations going against the ropes and all that. But before, until now, he was able to avoid, those the biggest punches by his opponents. But now, it was just a case of fighting a better guy, and yeah, who can, as you said, put his punches well together, and yeah, I mean, he should have been a little, I think, a little less aggressive and just try to box and be very kind of defensive, and But yeah, that's a lesson, I guess, for him
Yeah.
now.
Yeah, we learn them like that sometimes. Shout out to Bruce Gas, Boxing Jazz, and more. Appreciate you dropping in, Bruce. As
Hey,
always, says salute, brothers. Hey, salute to you there, Bruce. Folks, if you're listening,
so
watching all that, give him a like and subscribe over there. A lot of great stuff on the content. Appreciate you dropping through as always, Bruce. It's good connecting. But yeah, as it relates to Sonny Edwards and Bam, another thing to note is that Bam is going to vacate those titles. He will be moving to 116, and the intent is to take or 115, or we're taking 115 or 116, one or two.
right,
And the
so
intent is to
because yeah, he was
position
fighting it.
112. So
Yeah, yeah,
116, I think it is actually. So
yeah. Because I was wondering, when I saw he was
yeah, one,
fighting Sonny, I know like he beat Srisaket, and that was a
yeah,
super flyweight. I was like, what's he doing in flyweight now?
yeah. Why Superfly? Escape me. Is it 115 or one freaking 16?
Well, he's probably gonna be having problems to make that
Yeah,
weight if he
115.
stays at flyweight.
Yeah, so yeah, 115. So yeah, he had been there. So Bam is moving back up. So those titles will be available there at 112 for whomever continues to compete there, whether that's Sonny
Right,
Edwards or someone else who comes up on the rise or whatnot.
probably.
But yeah, at 115, then Bam will get that opportunity to take on pound for pounder one Francisco Estrada,
Mm,
and I think that would be his sort of coming out party in the sense of
yeah.
it's a top level opponent who's been at a top level for a long period of time. And right now, the youth and the activity is on Bam's side, considering Juan
Mm,
Francisco Estrada has been a little bit more inactive here over the last several years by comparison. And given his age, because I know he's at least mid 30s or close to that, I
mm,
just think that the youth and activity is on the side of Bam. So it might
yeah.
just be the right time for him as far as this matchup with Estrada, and it could be a passing of the torch type matchup. Though, of
Mm,
course, Estrada will be game and tough to overcome, but Bam just seems to be in full steam ahead right now, just like a locomotive headed straight down the rails. And man, it's going to be hard to see anyone stopping him right now at this moment if he performs like he performed last night.
yeah, I mean, you remember I especially kind of questioned Bam, before because, I said that win over Srisaket has maybe given him a little too much hype, but it turns out, yeah, this guy has earned the hype and he deserves it, obviously, yeah. And Estrada, I think he's like 36 now, probably, or even getting on 37, I think,
Yeah,
something like that.
much it.
But yeah, he didn't look that great. I mean, his last two fights, that guy Argy Cortez, especially, he beat him up, and
Oh yeah.
hadn't it been for the knockdown, I think Estrada might have even lost, And I mean, I know on my card he would have, but this way he won by a point or something. Well, maybe it would have been a draw. I don't know. Probably, yeah, maybe. But
Yeah.
anyway, yeah. Also, Chocolatito, I actually didn't yet see that fight, but many said that he should have won that fight against Estrada.
Hmm. Yeah, El
And
Gallo, he's 32 now, 32. So
32,
that's the
wow.
age is.
I thought he was older, but maybe Chocolatito is the one who is 35 or 6.
Or he's
Well,
33 rather. I should say he's 33. He'll be
yeah,
34
but
in April.
that's an old kind of 33. He's been in many wars and big fights already. And like,
Yeah.
I know he lost to Chocolatito first in 2012, I believe.
Yep. He
So
turned pro
that's
in 2008.
Yeah, so that's over 10 years he's been fighting, the best guys out there. Wow.
Yeah. And you see that a lot with the guys at the lower weights because they haven't always got that spotlight in the sense of some of the larger weight fighters who we're
Mm,
accustomed to seeing on the main stage. So a lot of those guys have been fighting each other, and these are the highest levels of the division. and some of it goes a bit unnoticed. So El Gallo's been around and been in with some tough competition. So now you got
Yeah.
this younger spring chicken out here in Bam Rodriguez, who is just another tough fight for him right there. So it's just a matter of what does Estrada, or how is Estrada able to overcome at this stage? And we know he mentally has the tool set to do it, mentally and physically has what is needed to do so.
But
But
yeah,
sometimes, yeah, that youth and activity can certainly,
yeah,
elevate a younger fighter over an older fighter, just depending on how the
yeah.
pace of the fight transpires.
In, in the championship rounds, yeah, definitely it can be decisive factor. As I say, the older guy doesn't have the legs, as a
Yeah.
younger guy, and yeah, of course. Yeah, I remember. I mean, I think Estrada's first real big win was very impressive. Also against Brian Viloria, in
Oh yeah.
2013, and that was when I first heard of him because Viloria was really wow on such a great run back then.
Yeah.
And he beat knocked out Hernan Marquez and Giovanni Segura, and all those
Oh yeah.
guys.
Segura. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but then I was just shocked when I saw that he lost, to some guy I didn't know really back then. Yeah. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's gonna be one hell of a fight. Yeah.
Yeah, certainly. So yeah, that may be next right there. And then Chocolatito was always also thrown out there. And Chocolatito, similar to Estrada, he's older now and
Mm,
not as active. So that could play
yeah.
into Dam's favor just in a similar way. And these are two different fighters, of course. Estrada, two different fighting styles. Estrada and Chocolatito. We know
Mm,
Chocolatito throws a lot of punches and very much on the offensive front. But that being said, yeah, he hasn't fought in a while either. But these are the two kind of top dogs there at 115 and have
mm,
been for a long period of time. So Bam, those I think would be great fights for his name as well to have on his ledger as well. Yeah, and yeah, hopefully
yeah.
we see both of them. I wouldn't be mad at it.
Yeah. Of course. Yeah. I don't know really. It will be a different kind of fight than Sonny Edwards, I believe. Yeah. I mean, yeah, Estrada just has so much experience, and he's a great technical fighter also, and all that tough guy. And it will be a whole other, I think, kind of fight,
Mhm.
and most likely, yeah.
Yeah, certainly. I also wanted to mention that on Friday Mr. Pass brought up Akhmadaliev. Yeah, he got a victory, looked impressive. So that's one I'm going to go back and watch. But on Friday night, we had Jake Paul on a card that went down in Orlando, Florida. And of course, we
Yeah.
know he beat his boxer opponent.
Um,
But
yeah.
there was a championship matchup on that card as well with Shadeja Green versus Franchon Cruz Dezern. And this was
Hmm.
with titles on the line. Let me see. Maybe I know for sure the WBC title. Let me see. Was there another one? But I know that the broadcast and kind of the hype had been really pushing Shadeja Green. She was viewed as sort of this monster who was going to be a force to be reckoned with there at 168 pounds on the women's side. And, she was kind of touted as the A side in the promotion and everything. But that being said, Franchon Cruz went in and really just outworked her, outboxed her for the entirety of the contest and picked up a very, very clear unanimous decision with her winning 97-93 on two judges' cards and 98-92 on another judge's card. Now, I score via Fight Night scores. Check that out, folks, fight-score.com. So when I scored on there, I had it 98-92, like one of the judges as well. And I think they were truly counting Franchon out in terms of her being the more experienced fighter, at least at that top level, given the opponent she had faced. And while Shadeja Green had a lot of knockouts, because I want to say she had around 11 knockouts in 13 fights, she hadn't fought an opponent on the level of Franchon. So I think
Hmm.
I think that's what came into play there. That experience of Franchon, whose
Yeah,
first fight in her debut was against Clarissa Shields. I think
yeah,
that says enough about it right there.
right.
And real quick, I forgot to shout out Beagle 47 in here, says Bam was cutting that ring brilliantly. Oh, and hi y'all. Appreciate your Beagle showing some love and being in the mix here as always there, Beagle. But yeah, so Shadeja Green there, Boz. I don't know. She goes back to the drawing board and needs to work
Yeah,
on things before she's ready for the top females there.
yeah.
Around.
I didn't know she was actually a basketball player before. Did you know that she played basketball?
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. I didn't know that either.
yeah.
Um,
So I was like, "What?" When I googled her, it said basketball player. What? No way. But yeah, I thought it was somebody else, but no, it was her. Yeah, I mean, that was, as you said, a case of Franchon having more experience from big fights, important
mhm.
fights, and just didn't watch it, but I read about it. They said she was just she just kind of smothered Shadeisha, didn't let her get off, didn't let her establish her rhythm or throw much punches or. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's pretty much the way she fought in the first half anyway of the fight, where she was dominating against Savannah Marshall, because she won the
Mhm.
first kind of 4 or 5 rounds. I remember pretty clearly,
Yeah.
and then after that, Savannah started, coming on. But yeah, I mean, she's a strong woman, Franchon,
Yeah.
and she obviously, has a lot of heart and dedication to the sport, and that's very good. Even though maybe from that technical perspective, not the most beautiful fighter to watch, but still,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
let's be. I mean, if you are, let's be frank, how many women boxers are like that? I mean, like really, I don't know. I don't elegant or beautiful to watch, because that's women's boxing is kind of most often messy. It looks messy in comparison to male boxing. You know, so it's not that I'm really really putting it down, but yeah, I mean, when it comes to the athletic aspect and the technical aspect, it is a quite different game, and very many of these fights are pure, like, I don't know how should I call them, just brawls, like a lot of wrestling and yeah, a lot of messy fighting there. So, but yeah, I have seen good fights as well between women. I
Yeah.
mean, like Chantel Cameron, for instance, had one again. I don't remember her opponent, but that was like 2 years ago, I believe. Yeah, in England, and yeah, there have been some good ones
Yeah, I think
also.
sometimes opponents, because there are some that can get sloppy, as with the males, but then there's
Yeah.
some that are really top tier, and
Oh
you get to
yeah.
really see good performances, like Ramallah Ali against the lady who ended up knocking her out, and then she got the revenge in a win over. So yeah, it can certainly vary, but yeah,
Mm.
these two stylistically, yeah, it didn't quite mesh as well, at least for it was expected to be an exciting fight because Shadeja Green was a come forward style who was typically keen on going for the knockout or something or things of that nature, and Franchon was going to be there. She would come forward as well, so it was expected to be a very competitive one. But yeah, Shadeja Green just didn't have that juice. She was looked to be a bit in over her skis. and there was some bad blood leading into it.
Yeah.
So that's also something that was tied to it. But it went to show that, yeah, as Mr. Pat said, yeah, Mr. Pat says, Josh, I heard that Green was the height job. Haven't seen her box before, but heard that Franchon basically exposed her. So yeah, it was more height, at least at this stage for Green is what I'm leaning towards as well. Just more height than that substance
Hmm.
that was there on a high level. And yeah, it didn't work out for her with Franchon, but hey, she can bounce back from here if her head is on right, and she can make do with and cope with that. The fact that she lost, go back, work on those things she needs to work on, especially even
Hmm.
the conditioning side, because she didn't throw a lot of punches by comparison to Franchon, who threw over 100 more punches than her. So Deja Green needs to work on that conditioning. Beagle says Franchon fought her fight inside. Well executed strategy. Certainly, certainly. She's working with the Headbangers crew out there, Barry Hunter, Bug Harris, Jamie Harris. So I know they put in work over there at that gym, and they got her ready to go. And she was conditioned enough
Hmm.
that she was out working Shadeja Green throughout the contest. And so that's something that Shadeja has to really go back and work on right there as well as her conditioning.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah, I know. I asked Franchon when she had this Insta live recent a few days ago if she wanted a rematch with Marshall, and she was like, "Yeah, for sure. I want to get those titles back." And yeah,
Yeah,
I
yeah,
don't know which one. Or if there was, yeah, there were more than one that she lost to Marshall. Yeah,
yeah. She
yes.
lost.
So
So yeah,
yeah, I
Franchon. Yeah, she
understand
lost.
because has she really been dominated? Yeah, I mean, has she really been dominated by Marshall? Then of course you it probably wouldn't have made sense, but was a close fight, so of course it's natural she wants a rematch and hope they get it made, of course, for her sake.
Yeah,
For
yeah. Hey,
yeah,
I'd love to see it. I
Cruz
think she could be game, and she
deserve.
went over to the UK for that contest as well. So I'd like to see
Mm,
that rematch for sure.
yeah,
And uh, I mean, yeah, that
mm,
makes sense. And Franchon, yeah, she's such a likable person.
maybe.
That's generally in. Yeah, she's a
Oh yeah,
likable
yeah.
personality, and yeah,
She really
I,
is.
I'm happy she got back in that
Yeah,
win column with the belts at least. And Mr. Pat says, speaking of Shields, oh yes, we all saw that video of
yeah.
Clarissa Shields being dropped by this Russian prospect, I guess you can call him. I know he doesn't have that many fights, but this is kind of throwing shade to the fact that Carissa keeps saying that she could beat some of these guys that are out there, these male boxers. Keith Thurman seems to be
Yeah,
the,
that's
the number one target for her. But yeah, I think that's well wishing at best right there. And
yeah,
I know kind of damage
that's
control
just
for her as far as this video leaking out of her getting dropped with a clean shot. So yeah, she is a female.
yeah.
And there was a guy who
I
was
mean,
probably around her size or whatever, or bigger. And yeah, she just got caught with a
yeah.
clean shot.
Nobody would sanction such a fight. No way. I mean, she could, if she got knocked out, she could have. I mean, she could be seriously hurt. Of course. I mean, come on. There-
Oh yeah,
There's no comparison really physically between a punch from a man and one from a woman. I don't think you can really compare the power. I mean, even if it's a guy who doesn't hit that hard, but still, I think he would hit hard enough to knock her out,
yeah.
probably.
Yeah, right. Yeah, yeah. It's just kind of different ball game in there with the elite males,
Yeah.
uh, compared for comparison's sake. But one of those things.
Well, I
Mr.
would.
Patch
Yeah.
mentioned both Taylor Cameron fights were great in my opinion. Yeah, I agree there, Mr. Pat.
Well,
Exciting fights right there. I've seen both of them. The first one was probably uh, it,
better.
a little
I
bit
think.
better than the second one because
Yeah.
Cameron didn't really come on as much in this second one, but
Yeah.
good fights.
it was very messy. The second one, I think. Yeah, but
Yeah, a lot more
I
holding and
guess
things of that
Katie.
nature.
Yeah, I guess the right woman did win because, as you just said, Chantel Cameron didn't really, yeah, she wasn't able to really get her, uh, punches together so well, and yeah, kept missing and coming in and getting tagged and stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah, I think there's going to be a part three, and hey, I think
Wow.
yeah, that'll be
Oh
yeah, it's
no.
1-1
Oh
between the two now, so part three makes sense for sure.
yeah,
And
Eddie Hearn, he just milks it for every penny, of course, and
yeah, big old 47 mentions Green needs 3-minute rounds. Yeah, that could benefit her. She does have
yeah.
power, at least she's shown in her previous fights. And yeah, with the 2-minute rounds, of course, if you make that jump to add an additional minute, yeah, then yeah, conditioning would come into play a bit more. And maybe her power, which she seems to have, carries a bit differently than it does in the 2 rounds at that top level. But yeah,
Mm,
that would be interesting to see her there in 3-minute round contests as well. But
mm,
certainly she needs to, have a higher output at least than what she had against Franchon, fighting against the likes of
yeah,
a Franchon or Savannah Marshall or Clarissa Shields, just throwing those out there, Hannah Gabriels or something. If she were to ultimately end up taking on her,
yeah.
I think that would be a good test.
By the way, have heard of Amanda Serrano? You know what she did? Vacated the titles. I mean, because she wouldn't fight like these 3 minute round, 12 minute, 12 round, 3 minute fights. Yeah,
Amanda Serrano.
yeah. You
Oh
you you didn't catch that, no.
no, I hadn't caught that.
Yeah, so I guess that means she will retire then, or just fight. I don't know, for not for titles anyway. I don't know what
Mm.
she is thinking.
Interesting. Yeah, I have to look
Yeah.
into that for sure. Yeah, I didn't know of that one. Uh, Beagle said stuff happens in sparring, but we all know. Yes, yes, indeed, there, Beagle. We all know. Mr. Pat said, Josh Miles, did y'all touch on the new PBC deal yet and what y'all think it may imply? Oh, yeah. So I know that the PBC, they have struck a deal with Amazon Prime. And
Oh.
so they're now going to be broadcasting their fights on Amazon. Now, Amazon, they're getting into that whole sports market. I mean, they've gotten into some of everything. I mean, they're just a huge company and generate a lot of funding. So, but they've made their foray into that sports market. One championship is there,
Mhm.
which is MMA and a mixture of Muay Thai and all of that stuff. Which I've actually, when I've watched it, it's pretty good. So you have that, and then now they have the Thursday night games with the NFL, and now boxing PBC is going to be on Amazon Prime. I haven't um I haven't seen the full particulars of the deal in itself, even though I skimmed through the press release when it first came out. I remember getting that, but I would say that it's going to be interesting. Amazon, we'll see how it does in terms of drawing customers in. I think that for those that there's going to be a segment who already has Amazon Prime, so we know that. I think what the interesting part will be is whether they can lure others who don't have Amazon Prime to purchase Amazon Prime specifically for watching boxing, which I think is where the bread and butter will kind of come into play there. And then just
Mm.
thinking about it from a pay per view standpoint, if they have those individuals to Amazon, I think streaming is kind of the wave we're in, and it's the wave of the future. So we're gonna see things being streamed, but yeah, it'll just be interesting to see what it does as far as bringing in new Amazon Prime members,
Mm.
and I think that would be the telling part, and I think they would have to put on some very competitive fights in order for that to be done, especially those who uh, haven't really dove into Amazon. I feel like a certain segment will already have had it and will tune in, but that audience or that market that doesn't, some of the older boxing fans who may not have Amazon Prime or whatever. I want to see how
Mm.
they react to it, and I think competitive matchups is going to be the way that it gets done. We need competitive matchups. What do you think there, buys?
Well, yeah, I mean, it can be a way to, to help boxing, kind of make even more fans, maybe, or, retain its popularity at least, because, it's always good to have it available on several different kind of media platforms. And I mean, that's the way of the future, as you said. And of course, MMA is also, available like everywhere now. UFC is so big, so boxing needs, that, I guess, that kind of exposure, that now UFC has, I guess, maybe too much of, even if depends if you are an MMA fan or not. But yeah, I think it sounds kind of, interesting. And maybe that will kind of help. I don't know if it will change anything with the pay per views, with all the unnecessary pay-per-views, but I hope, there one can always hope.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I actually went back to my email and I pulled up the press release. Pay per views, I can tell you, aren't going away because it mentions in here that um, it mentions that they will
Of
be
course.
industry leading. They would Prime Video would distribute PBC's industry leading pay per view events in the U.S. and the first anticipated for March of 2024. So I guess they're going to do something on March 2024. So they also mentioned a PBC Championship Boxing series of events showcasing top matchups amongst rising stars. So I'm guessing this will be the Prime Video kind of exclusive that is non pay per view, but the pay per views shall remain. So it'll be interesting. We'll see. We'll see how it continues to develop. But yeah, I want to look into a little bit more on that because, um, but we know Amazon. They have a big budget, and maybe they can make it to where some of these big fights can be had or be made. But yeah,
Yeah, I
ultimately,
gotta,
yeah, we need some competitive fights,
I
and
gotta get me an Amazon subscription now. It's
all right.
probably
Oh, you don't have
probably
Amazon subscription?
no, probably the only major kind of platform I don't yet have, a
All
subscription.
right. Let's see if they lure you in, Boz. That's a step forward, I would say.
Yeah, I
That's a
mean,
step forward if they lure you in.
yeah,
So, all right. So we got a few tests. Those listening, if you're in the comments, do you have Amazon, and will PVC make you get Amazon if you don't have it? I just so happen to have had Amazon for a long period because I got it when I was a student, and it just kept
oh,
renewing and utilize it. Get a lot of stuff delivered here now, but
but yeah, since then they
yeah,
became
yeah.
really
But
huge. Yeah,
it would be interesting if I didn't have Amazon Prime, if PBC could lure me in. They probably could just because I like boxing. You know what I'm saying? But as I
yeah,
mentioned, there still will be pay per views, so it'll be interesting to see where their mark or what the price point will be on those pay per views. And given that
mm,
it's PBC, I'm thinking it's going to be up there in that
yeah,
$60 to $75 range, somewhere in there. But we'll
yeah,
see. We'll see. Interesting stuff for sure.
yeah. I
Interesting
hope
stuff.
so. I hope it will help boxing just become, even bigger than it is now. Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. And I think Beagle was mentioning that I think she's paid me for 3 minute rounds, and I'll fight them. Thinking of that as it relates to Amanda
Yeah,
Serrano. Okay,
because,
yeah,
yeah, I
out here.
just want to add one thing. Too many people are under the impression that there aren't many good fights happening in boxing right now, because,
Yeah,
they don't follow enough. They don't want to. But when I watched Teddy Atlas,
yeah,
God bless him, and on that program with Patrick Bet David, him. So he said like, and Patrick was like, when he said good fights are still going on, said Atlas,
Yep.
and Patrick said when, and he started to to name these fights, all these fights like Spence versus whatever, and I think he was he was this was before Spence Crawford, so he mentioned Spence versus Porter and stuff
Okay.
like that. So yeah, I'm glad that he did because he kind of educated, some people, I guess, and also Patrick on this. So that was a good thing. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, we do have some very good ones going on. Want
yeah,
to see them continue to get shine. We just had a very good one last night there with Bam Rodriguez and
mm,
Tony Edwards. That was a very competitive one, a high level clash, uh, high level clash between two elite
yeah,
boxers there. So there are some good ones going on, most certainly. And
yeah, of
Bigo
course.
says Amazon's pockets are getting deeper while Boz is getting lighter. Yeah, hey, Amazon, they keep finding ways to make money for
Too
sure.
big. Yeah, too big. I don't know. I will think about it. I'm not sure if I will get that.
Yeah, you'll be our direct test case there, Bob. See if they can put on a matchup that will make you say, you know what, I'm about to go ahead and subscribe to Amazon because this. Let's see what this March event or
Yeah,
maybe it's pay per view. Let's see what this looks like because I think that will be kind of the telling story right there as far as what we can expect from Amazon. Now,
yeah,
yeah, before we wrap things up, there, Boz, real quick, we have a what I think is a very good pay per view that is coming up next week in this clash in Saudi Arabia. I know they're calling
yeah,
it something that I did know. I did know what they were calling. I forget what
yeah.
they
They
call it now.
always, they always do now.
Yeah,
Yeah, like
they're calling it like they have a little slogan for it. I just can't think of the slogan right now,
rage
but
on the
hey, it's
Red
gonna be
Sea or something. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
it's gonna be competitive though. I think this is a good one. We get
But
Anthony
this
Joshua
isn't.
versus Otto Valeen in the main event, and I guess the co-feature will be Deontay Wilder, Joseph Parker. All of those both of those fights are good fights. Very
Oh
good fight.
yeah,
We got Dimitri Bivol, Lyndon Arthur. I expect Bivol to do his thing, but Arthur, he's pretty solid boxer, so it should be
yeah.
interesting. We
He is
got
solid.
Daniel Dubois, Jarrell Miller, Jay Opataya against someone by the name of Zorro, who I don't know. Frank Sanchez, Junior Five, which is not bad. Mahmoudov is going to be returning against Caballel. I don't know if I've seen Caballel or not, but
Oh
there are
yeah,
good cards
Gabriel,
here as far as pay per views
he's
are concerned.
he's solid. I'll give Caballero. He's pretty solid. Yeah, he's got a couple of good wins already. Yeah,
Oh yeah, yeah. I need to see that. Miss Pat says Josh, that Day of Reckoning promo was funny with the zombie scene. Seeing Frank Warren driving over people or whatever was funny. I'm gonna have to look that one up. I haven't seen the promo there, Mr. Pads. I'm gonna have to check that one out for sure. Now that I know it's going down like that, I think yeah, they do some pretty solid promos there with the Zone Matchroom. I did enjoy that promo of Regis Prograis and Devin Haney. I like the way they kind of set that one up. It was a pretty good promo vids. So, but yeah, this is gonna be a good card though. I plan on checking it out with a buddy somewhere. But certainly, it's I would say if we're gonna pay for a pay per view, I would check that one out for sure. I would.
yeah, yeah. And I can. That's a good thing because I can watch that fight. Because it's on the zone. It's in kind of in not my time zone, but not that far. Off. It's
Yeah, yeah.
like on a kind of normal kind of hour here. Anyway, yeah.
Oh yes, certainly, certainly.
Oh, hey there, Mister.
Skywalker Boxio, salute to Skywalker Boxio says, salute to my brothers Josh and Boz. Salute to you, Skywalker. Appreciate you for sure. Folks, go check him out. Give him a like and subscribe there because Skywalker does this thing as well, giving us great content. And
Yeah.
with that, this has been a great show to put on a discussion there with your Boz. I know that time permitting, um, yeah, or as it relates to time, we just have to
Hmm.
kind of wrap things up there for you, Boz, because I know it's getting late there on your end, but this has been
Well,
a good one, and we
kind of.
appreciate everyone who dropped by.
Yeah. Thank you, all you who dropped by.
Yeah, so salute to you all. And just to recap, Bam Rodriguez arrived, baby. Bam Rodriguez. That's the name to watch moving forward. So make sure to do that. Him, David Morrell, another one to watch there moving forward. And be on the lookout for some other great and competitive matchups. So yeah, appreciate you, Skywalker, checking out that replay. And thank you to everyone, Mr. Paz, Beagle, Bruce Gas, Boxing Jazz, and more. Rodolfo Rivera Jr., Flack Boxing, you name it. So everyone have a good one, and we hope to catch you all on the next one.